Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, our viewers and listeners from all over the world. My name is Ilse Kizembe, live from the Center for Human Rights, University of Pretoria. And today we are joined by Mr. Maxwell Nkavule, and we are here to talk about the democracy situation in Eswatini. This is part of the advocacy plan for the Human Rights and Democratization in Africa class of 2023 Eswatini Advocacy Group. And I hope by the end of the podcast, you get insights, you get information, and you get the call to join in our advocacy plan for democratization of Eswatini. Thank you for showing up today, our guest. If you could please talk to our audience and introduce yourself, tell us the work you do, a brief introduction of who you are, and the background of the situation in Eswatini.
Good day to everyone. My name is Maxwell Nkavule. I'm a practicing attorney in Swaziland. I've been involved in human rights ever since I started practice, which is about over 15 years back. And I think everybody knows Swaziland, and then if you are going to be talking about human rights and in that situation, it is depressing, but here we are. And the other thing is that I run a private practice, which is actually complementary of the situations on the ground people in Swaziland. And yes, what actually is on the ground with the situation is that it is actually depressing and terrible, but we cannot lose hope. The human rights space is shrinking each day, but what we need to do will be to look at how far we can all assist each other to go forward and see if we can make Swaziland a better country. I think, having said that, myself, I'm in hiding after an assassination attempt against myself, but I'm still out here and willing to shout further and say Swaziland has issues when it comes to human rights and democratization.
Okay. So briefly touch on the 1973 decree and how it works in line with the Constitution of 2005.
It is a very, very strange situation in Swaziland whereby every power rests with the king. Even though now it is the era of the democracy, the king is still above the law. That simply says the 1973 decree is still in place. During the era of the 1973 decree, before 2005, before the constitution, parties could not express themselves and operate freely. That situation still prevails even now. So you will understand that what has actually happened is that it is cosmetic to say there is a constitution. They actually came to embody the two instruments, the 1973 decree and the 2005 constitution. And to the outside world, it looks like Swaziland is a constitutional country, when in reality it is not.
Okay. So what you're saying is the Constitution provides for democracy, but it is also against the 1973 decree. So what is the democracy situation?
What is actually happening is that the constitution came to complement the 1973 decree in the sense that the king is still everything that you can think. He's still above the law, and he still has authority in all the important institutions and bodies, including parliament itself. And then in that situation, we cannot say that Swaziland has done away with the constitution, because as we speak, there are still some political parties which are proscribed. Okay. That is the situation.
I know we talked before about the work you've been doing back in Eswatini and the Prodemocracy Movement. So can you briefly touch on the players, the civil society organizations, the individuals that are spearheading this Prodemocracy Movement, and what the attitude of the government is towards their efforts?
Yeah, I hope by not mentioning some, I won't be controversial and think their effort or their input is downplayed. But there's been plenty. There's the lawyers themselves. There's our organization, which is now called Legal Resources Center. It started after the June 2021 unrest. It was a voluntary complement of lawyers who felt they needed to help because the situation was dire. There's been all women bodies. There's the workers' unions. There's the PPA, the People's Political Assembly. Then there's the mother body where our late dear brother Tulan Masego was the chairperson. That is the multi-stakeholders forum, which actually encompasses every forum that is for democracy in Swaziland. And yes, there's been individuals too, and the international bodies. Some people are really invested in the story of Swaziland. So I think everyone who knows what democracy is and what is really offering has played his part.
And what has been the government's response to all the efforts? When you did mention down to the pressure, or how has it reacted generally to every player that is working towards the pro-democracy movement?
You see, the Swaziland government is a typical African government. It's a country which would I say, a dictatorial country. So if it's a dictatorial country, it's going to be difficult to say there is anything like some level of acceptance to democracy. That is why even some of the human rights bodies, the governmental ones like the Human Rights Commission, has only been formed because it is there in the constitution.
Yeah.
You would say it is non-functional. But then again, this government is guilty of all things which are all the atrocities against its citizens. Once you are highlighted as a human rights defender, you get to be marked and targeted, arbitrary arrests. I myself, it was an attempted assassination. Tulan Masego was killed. The late Mario Masugu, the late Chan Stole, and all the other political players who have been there have been subjected, more specifically also on the part of when they have been subjected to all sorts of abuse from the government.
With that said, with all the pressure and with all the detention, all the abuse that the defenders are getting from the government, would you say that there's any progress that has been made? Has there been any effort towards democratization? Any positive?
The positive side is that the people are still standing.
Okay.
We are dealing with a very stubborn government. We are dealing with a very stubborn leader, because I cannot even say it's the government. I think that is one thing that also needs to be unpacked. That for a long time we want to believe that the monarch is different from the government, when it is the monarch that is running the show in Swaziland. Whichever way we look at it, we must make it clear that any call is felt as a direct confrontation to the king and to his leadership, to his role as a king. So the fact that you sometimes wake up leaving, that's a plus too, because the system has started to kill. The fact that when you go to some of the international forums, they do concede on some of the mistakes. You get the feel that we are going somewhere. Minimal as it is, but we can always take the weekly gains.
Okay. Yeah. So, I know as part of the Human Rights and Democratization in Africa class, the Eswatini Advocacy Group, we are trying to enlighten the world about the situation in Eswatini. We are using the hashtag Save Democracy Eswatini to post on social media and to try to get people to join our movement in advocating for democracy in Eswatini. So what do you think the global community and the civil societies should do more, or how do we engage them to make sure that we are progressing in this advocacy?
I really appreciate that part, because I think it is very important in a country like Swaziland very small. It is easy to quash any effort that will work towards democratization. So we will actually depend on the regional and the international forum to really assist us. So my only plea to the international community and to the regional bodies that when this government officials, when the Chief Justice, because every right must actually be protected by the courts. When they go to these forums whereby they have signed to be part of those bodies, we ask that they must raise the issue of Swaziland. They must raise all the issues that have been raised, whether it is at the African Commission, whether it is with SADC, anywhere. If there would be a question about Swaziland with each and every session, each and every meeting point, just like we're doing, I'm sure that things will come better for people.
Okay, I know you did mention SADC as one of the players, but are there any specific stakeholders that you would want to call for their contribution towards this democratization in this podcast?
Look, we have to look at our geographical positioning.
Okay.
Swaziland is everything. I've always made this example like Zimbabwe, Swaziland, Botswana, Swaziland, Lesotho, to an extent Mozambique, but Zimbabwe, those countries are somehow dependent on South Africa as a superpower. Mm. If South Africa was to take a very, very critical role, I'm sure Swaziland would be better the following day. Mm. Now there is call for specific sanctions, especially to the royal family. But as I'm speaking to you, you would find that there is a cow which is actually from Swaziland, which has a royal blood in it. Either it's a child coming here to get his dress for school, whatever, or it is one of the wives for the king. So South Africa, if it was to take a role in terms of specific sanctions to specific people, Swaziland would be different.
Yeah, are there any regional, international, non-governmental organizations that could come in, and what role do you think they would play?
They are coming to the party. We have the Southern Africa Human Rights Defenders Network. We have ICJ. I cannot mention all the other ones, probably for protective purposes, but they are coming into play and they are really, really helpful to the situation of Southern. And we do believe that we have aligned ourselves with the correct people and we're going to find ourselves in a very democratic Swaziland.
Okay, so maybe to my final question, what options do human rights defenders have now with how the government is treating them? What options are left for them?
There is what I've heard that sometimes when you run and then you reach the end and you're back against the wall, all you are left with is to fight. We only have one Swaziland. And that being said, there is no other Swaziland that you fight. Look, we have to commend the youth for what they've taken. But then, now that we're here, we have no alternative but to keep pushing democracy, pushing for a better Swaziland. We have no alternative as long as we can get people like you who want to raise the voices of the people of Swaziland. We can only get courage from that.
Okay. Thank you. This has been a wonderful conversation. Do you have any last words you would want to tell to our listeners and viewers as we conclude?
I would really appeal to everyone to assist the people of Swaziland. If you can actually let everyone know that many people are actually exiled than what we get to hear. And there is more Tulani Masebos who have died. He's only one of the many people who this system has killed. And it is on record that over 200 people died during the unrest. Those were people, those are not numbers. And their voices and their blood cannot be led to die, to run in vain. So we wish that if there is any contribution, we also call upon the Swazis who are actually in the diaspora to come and with their philanthropic work to see what we can do to make Swaziland better, because we need anyone now. And it's a pity that, like I said, even the economy is dying. Everything is about the king, is about the government. Even the one institution that we would actually hope for, that it would actually protect us, that is the judiciary. It is also in shambles. So we have ourselves to work on.
Thank you so much, Mr. Maxwell Nkambule, for having this conversation with us today. To all our viewers and listeners, this conversation has been brought to you by the Eswatini Advocacy Group, HRD class of 2023. We hope if you get this message, it is a call for action. It is a call to put in your efforts towards the democratization of Eswatini. Remember to follow us on all the social media pages at the Center for Human Rights, #Save Democracy Eswatini. I've been your host, Ilse Kivembe, and see you next time. Thank you.